You always ask those 5 questions about the Grizl, so in today's video we are going to answer them all. Question number 1 for you, Paul, today, and you can guess it. What is the difference between the Grail and the Grizl? In a nutshell, because we have a full video on that topic. Link in the description below if you want to go into detail. So in a couple of sentences, Grail, Grizl.
Okay, so if you're looking for something really capable for off-road adventure, you're going to festoon it in bags, you want something with the maximum capability on rough terrain, the Grizl is your bike. It's got bigger tyres, it's more capable, more rugged, it's got more mounting points. If you want something that feels a bit lighter and more nimble, maybe speed is important to you because you're doing one-day races like Tracker, for example, or you're looking for a hybrid 2-in-1 road and gravel bike, then the Grail is the best option.
Perfect, so I'm going to bounce back on that. You've mentioned that the Grizl is better for long bikepacking adventures, like a bit more comfort. Can you tell us into more details, what are all the things that make the Grizl a better bike for long bikepacking adventures?
Okay, well, we'll go into full depth on some of the exact features, but in essence, you have bigger tyre clearance on the Grizl, so you get up to 54 millimeters, which is really useful, gives you lots of options. You've got slightly slacker geometry, which makes the bike feel more relaxed in terms of handling, so less nervous when you're off-road. Nervous can be a really good thing if you want to be agile, but if you're munching the miles and you want to ride for a long distance and you've got a lot of baggage on the bike, you actually want it to feel more relaxed. There's a ton of options and we'll go into all of the different spec options later, but you've got things like front suspension on these bikes, you've got options for dynamo powered lighting, charging for accessories, you have different mounting points for mudguards, panniers, all that kind of thing. And also the handlebars generally are a little bit wider, and overall you're just getting a little bit more of a cushioned ride with this bike, which makes it excellent for off-road riding.
Okay, so this leads me to my third question. Can you talk to us about the range in a little bit more details? Because, for example, I spy some front suspension here. I know that the Grizl I've been riding in Wales on my bikepacking adventure had a bit more of an adventurous cockpit. So what are the different range? How many different Grizls are there?
There's lots of different specs, but it basically boils down to 3 different versions of the Grizl. So firstly, you have an aluminium entry-level Grizl, the AL, great bike, really capable and very affordable price point. And then there's 2 different types of carbon frames, so the CF model of the Grizl. You've got the original Graveler, the OG, which has a pretty traditional, familiar round handlebar. And as you can see on this particular OG CF, you've got front suspension and a few different other spec choices. And then you have the one that you rode, which is the 3rd model in the range, which is the Escape. So the Escape has that innovative adapted cockpit that gives you a few more options in terms of storage, mounting points, handlebar grips, and that's the one that perhaps is most adapted for the really extreme adventurer.
I actually have a question that doesn't come from any customer, is me wondering right now when I look at this bike. I see the suspension, I can see here that you can lock the suspension or have it. Is it fair to say that this can be a bit of a hybrid before a mountain bike and a gravel bike?
Yeah, definitely. So this is a new feature from Canyon. It's a DT Swiss front suspension designed to be super light. It's got 40 mil of travel. So if you're coming from a mountain bike background, obviously that's a lot less than you would experience there normally. But it's definitely got a lot more cushioning effect than obviously a stiff carbon fork would do. And it's got a lockout. So you press this button from either angle. It's got a double grip so you can press it, pull it from either angle with your forefinger here or your thumb. And that locks out the suspension, so it goes from rigid to that 40 millimeter travel. So if you're riding, say, on the flat, you would lock out your front suspension because you don't need the cushioning. You're going to get all of the squish you need from the tyres, and you're not wasting any energy compressing the suspension as you ride along. And then when you flip off-road and things get rougher, you just press that little lever and you've got your suspension travel already sorted.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, really good feature.
If I understand correctly, that would be a really good bike for South Downs Way, for example. That's a bit of a rough terrain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah? I mean, there's definitely a point, we've all been there on a gravel bike where it feels a little bit out of its comfort zone. So having that option to flip the suspension on, fit chunkier tyres on this, you've got a little bit of suspension travel here in the seat post, just means you can go more places.
I think I'm going to try to get my hands on one of those bikes in my size and go and explore some rough terrain, because that's making me excited.
Yeah.
Cool. Another question here for the Grizl in general. So maybe not this one with the suspension, but let's say the Adventure Grizl or even the aluminum one. Is it a good bike to ride on and off-road? So let's say I'm in the market for a bike, I can only have one. Is this a good bike for me?
The answer is yes, it certainly can do it and it'll do a good job of it. The Canyon don't sell a bad bike in my opinion, they're all very adaptable. I'd say you probably, at that point, stretching it a little bit between, I would suggest if you're going to go in that direction, unless you're doing a lot of serious off-roading, probably the Grail might be the better bike for you there. It's just going to feel a bit nippier, a bit lighter. But if you put a set of 32mm tyres on the Grizl, I think particularly the one with the standard carbon front fork, so overall the bike is a little bit lighter, I think you're going to have a great time on it and it'll feel nice and relaxed as you're riding along and super comfortable.
Great, thanks. I do think, however, it's like it would be interesting to point out that the Grizl only comes with one bike at the front, unlike the Grail. And that's when you road riding, if you are with a group, let's say, or you want to go a little bit faster, you might get a little frustrated. So I think it's a really good bike on the road, but maybe on a more relaxing style of road cycling.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the AL version still has the mounting points for a front derailleur. So that will do both roles really well, and obviously it's a great entry point price. But what you're going to find, even if you're a strong rider, as a group is riding downhill with 2x setup, they're just going to be able to keep pedaling and put the power down, and you're just going to get left behind generally on a 1x bike.
So we're now getting to our last questions, which is a little bit like opening a Pandora box because it's not going to be too short. Can you talk to us through all of the features and accessories that the Grizl has? Because I understood that it's quite endless. So could you summarize this for us and explain to us what would be the best for which type of rider?
Okay, so I'm going to go from the front end of the bike backwards, and I'll try and be nice and tight with this because there's a lot to talk about. We've already mentioned different handlebar and cockpit options, so we won't go into too much detail there. The Escape version, you can buy it with or without that Eclipse light feature at the front. You have different fork options, and all of the forks come with front mounting bosses. So even on the suspension version, you've got mounting points here in order to put storage on the front forks. You've also generally got, although I can't feel it on this one, you've got mounting points here for things like mud guards, and I've seen people fit the Canyon front rack, so you can get extra storage on there. You'll be able to fit obviously handlebar bags on. All of the bikes generally come with a mechanical or a Di2 stroke ETAP system that you can choose, so between Shimano or SRAM for mechanical or electric. We've talked about tyres as well, so you've got up to 54mm travelling tyres, which is amazing. And then within the frame itself, you have an amazing storage unit in here. So if you went for the Eclipse model, inside this compartment there'll be battery storage. But if you didn't, you've got this option here. So we'll zoom in a little bit there, but basically the bike comes with this plate with the multi-tool included, and then you can add the Topeak carbon pump, which is specifically designed to go with these bikes, which fits up here. And you've still got the space inside the down tube for what's known as a tool snake. So basically you can hide all of your tools in this down tube away from the mud, and you can also get a couple of TP unit tubes, a CO2 canister and an inflator all within this space.
This is one of my favorite features, to be honest, for two reasons actually. Reason number one, if you go graveling and you don't have you just go for your gravel loop on Sunday and you don't have all the accessories, it helps you to keep everything clean. You don't have your saddlebag just being splashed with mud all the time. But also, if you go on a bikepacking adventure, like when I went to Wales, again, you realize that all of the backpacks accessories that you will have actually take all the space. So it's very nice to have everything separated, like all your stuff you're traveling with, like on the back, the tools are here, at the front maybe your camping equipment. It really helps you get organized and keep everything clean.
Yeah, super slick. If you go back here, you've got mounting points for bottles, and also in the kick plate that's designed to protect the down tube here from rock strikes. You've got an extra mounting point there, so loads of space for hydration. You've got bosses here as well, with this really nice detachable frame bag that Canyon makes specifically for this bike. So you just pull a little tab and you can remove that, load it up and then clip it back in. Mounting points on the front for a top tube bag. And then as we go further back into the bike, talked about the seat post, talked about the Eclipse rock lighting system, but you also have mounting points here for the mudguard that goes on the back, a mounting point for the Canyon rear rack, or if you choose, they've left the through axle points exposed here, so you can mount a tail fin onto the back of your bike, as you would have seen Alex using in Wales. There's
so many mounting points. I think you could end up carrying, like, packing way more than you can actually carry. Like this, I think the weight of, if you go, let's say, for a week, the weight can get a bit out of control quickly, can't it?
Yeah, you can. Although I rode your bike to work the other day, and you just happened to have all of the stuff left over from Wales, and it was
classic.
It was super comfortable, and because the bike is a bit more stable and relaxed in its handling, it carries it really well. And then I guess the last thing that I would probably mention is a few options on the wheels. You've got these entry-level DT Swiss aluminium wheels which do the job, nice and bomb-proof and easy to service. And then you've got various carbon wheel options, including Canyon's first ever wheel set that you can get on some of these bikes as well, some of the higher end models.
Great, I think this is it. Thank you very much, Paul, for all those information. I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it helped you make a decision if you are in the market for a Canyon bike. Again, remember, here at Riverside in London, you can test ride every single Canyon road and off-road bike in your size. So if you want to try the Grail, the Grizl, not too sure about your size, the link in the description below is going to enable you to book your free demo. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.
Videos, the tears flowing and I'm sipping slow. Wishing it was this easy to